we're going to talk about our best and worst of 2021. Before we do that, Zip, you had something you wanted to talk about because
the
I
original
changed up the
idea.
topic.
The
So the
original
original
idea
topic was I guess a dinner guest. Is that what I said? A dinner party?
I had to pick 3 people from the world of baseball, dead or alive, managers, sports writers, players themselves, whatever, to bring to a dinner party. And I was going to just say it was going to be, I would pick 3 Daryl Strawberries.
3.
I was just trying to think of because the short, it was Daryl Strawberry,
Dwight
Babe Ruth, huh?
Dwight Gooden.
And I was stuck on the third one. I was trying to not only pick people who were from the Simpsons softball episode, which I think you guys could do an entire episode. I don't know if you guys even follow the Simpsons. That might be a terrible idea for an episode, but like how amazing that. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. That one's fantastic. Yeah.
Like you could do a whole episode just on that because it was actually a huge undertaking to get all of them.
I'm sure it was.
But anyway, back on topic. Yeah, so 3 Daryl Strawberries.
That's a great idea. I think we'll have to. Okay, so let's go into our best and worst of 2021. Zip, since you're the guest, I'll let you go first. Doesn't matter.
Best or worst.
Doesn't matter. Whichever.
Okay,
we'll
do best. I think best is Ohtani in general. Just kind of the highlight of the season was this anomaly that's so rare. It's kind of like considered hack to compare people to Babe Ruth, but he's literally the only person that you could compare him to because it's just such a unique skill set. And as we even talked earlier about like the universal DH, like there's not going to be another Ohtani. It's just not. I mean, do you think Ohtani may change the course on that and more pitchers may try and bat to increase their net worth? Or do you think the DH will just eliminate the concept at all?
They might, because the Angels actually signed Jared Lorenzen, who's a two-way player as well. He's a tremendous athlete. Like he's obviously not Ohtani, or else we'd know more about who he is. But I mean, mostly what he is a physical specimen because the dude's shredded. First off, like he's got like the Derek Dietrich body. Like the dude is just ripped. He's the one who was wearing the Vans cleats last year. Mm-hmm. Did you see that?
I don't think so, but
anyway, he's a two-way player as well. So, but he spent some time in the outfield last year, 2 years ago for the Reds. But he hits for them, he pitches for them, he does a good job. Obviously, like I said, he's no Ohtani, but I think we might actually see more of it.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it seems like it's either just going to go the way of the dodo because of the way that the DH is going to go, or he will spur this whole new generation. Because I don't know what's so exciting about it. Is it just the anomaly of a pitcher who's his own DH, like
I think that's what it is. Is that
he's also got a great attitude,
the best attitude. Like the dude just makes funny. Baseball look so fun.
I'd say the only thing, and I want to phrase this carefully because I don't want to have a Stephen A. Smith moment because I don't want to paint it as a flaw. I would say the only downside for us Westerners is that he caters to his Japanese fan base more than he seems to cater to Westerners. I don't know.
And I can see that.
And that's fine. And that's totally fine. Yeah. I mean, that's where he's from, but I would say that'd be the only real downside to it is that he is, he's Japanese, he's going to cater to them before us.
And Ichiro was the same way too. Ichiro spoke fine English, but he still spoke through an interpreter and he still catered to the Japanese fan base, which was fine. And actually, I think the Mariners liked it because it expanded the fan base internationally. I think the Angels like it because it expands their fan base internationally because let's be honest, their fan base is about that big on a map, because the Dodgers.
Also, just my dad, who's kind of fallen out of baseball over the last couple of years, literally started watching some again just to see that because I heard there's a pitcher who's going to, it was when he did the home run derby. He's like, I heard there's going to be a pitcher in the home run derby. And I was like,
and he's legit.
He's legit. Unfortunately, he didn't do too hot in the home run derby, but still, I mean, I'd say that was probably a highlight of the season is just
I would say so too.
Now, do you think he's going to continue to do that, or do you think time's going to catch up with him?
I think he will. Because he's been hampered by injuries. I mean, he's had Tommy John twice already. I think that's been the big thing is everybody is like, oh, he's a bust. He's got his elbows made of glass, everything, blah, blah, blah. But it's like what we saw this year is what everybody expected out of him.
Yeah. And he's still young, too. I mean, he's only, 25?
Yeah, he's like 25, 26. He's still really young.
He's got a long way to go.
So, yeah, he does have a long road ahead, and I think we can continue to see what we saw this year. I don't know that he'll necessarily take a step back. I don't know he'll go a whole lot forward. Like, I don't see him breaking Barry Bonds' single-season record. But at the same time, maybe be the first guy in a while to hit 60. I don't know.
Yeah, it's It's going to be fun. That's the.
So.
Now, what's your best moment from last year?
So I have my best awkward moment is what I have.
Your best awkward moment.
Yes, my best awkward moment was when Javi Baez tricked Pirates first baseman Will Craig into getting in a rundown between home and first base.
Yes, that was that was something.
It's fantastic.
Everybody's just screaming, just touch first base.
Exactly. So for anybody who doesn't know, there's a runner on second base for the Cubs. So this was before Baez got traded. So the Wilson Contreras is on second base for the Cubs, and Baez hits a hard ground ball to third baseman Eric Gonzalez for the Pirates. He throws the ball wide, like down the line at first base, and Will Craig, the first baseman, instead of just touching the base, he goes and tries to tag Baez. Well, Baez, having his head on him like he does, because the dude's baseball IQ is through the roof, he's like, maybe I'll see if I can get him to tag me. Backs up, starts heading towards home, and Craig, instead of literally stopping where he's at, taking 4 steps behind him, touching first base with 2 freaking outs, Zipp. There were 2 outs.
He just baited him into it. It was he just
chased him all the way home. Contreras scores, and then I have it here. The catcher was, what was his name? Michael Perez has the ball, and then he throws the ball. He tries to lead like he's throwing a touchdown pass to Adam Frazier, who's still with the Pirates at the time, is going to first base, but he throws it behind him, so the ball goes in right field. Baez ended up on second base.
It's to be a fly on the wall for the butt chewing that had to have followed that. I don't know.
Do you know what happened to Will Craig after that?
I don't actually.
Within a week, he was designated for assignment.
Ah, yes.
And then he ended up in the KBO with the Kiwoom Heroes.
Oh,
so it's,
wow!
MLB could very well be over because he tried to get somebody
have that happen
rundown
twice in a season to go from the majors to the minors, and then in the same season the minors to Korean baseball.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about him. I was just imagining, because is no subsection of men on this planet who get more angry than baseball managers. They're just the angriest people. I could not imagine. Angry. I'd rather die than have to go face my baseball manager after a screw up of that.
Dude, caliber. I dealt with a high school coach who had an anger issue. I can't imagine what it's like to deal with a major league manager with anger issues. Like, that's something else.
I'm surprised we've never had one just flatten out die, like while yelling at an umpire. Like if it was gonna happen, it was gonna be Lou Piniella. Like if it was gonna happen, that's where it was gonna be. So I love also just lip reading during it.
Well, and it's easy because they enunciate.
Yeah, it is.
You can see every word.
That's always what I think that, like, as far as robo umps, the only way I'm going to support a robot umpire is if they can wheel out a little robot for the manager to yell at, just because it's you yelling at the robot's going to change the robot's mind just as much as
what it's going to be. It's going to actually be better because they would have to have an umpire up in the box running the robot. And so you've got a guy stepping out, yelling up to the press box, yelling at some guy who they can't see, some mystical figure.
So now he's like the man behind the curtain now.
Yes, exactly.
The mysterious guy.
That's exactly what it might be better, because then the whole stadium gets to hear it. Anyway,
these are the things about putting butts in seats. Because those are like I hate I'm a bit of a Joe Buck apologist, but I hate when he does things like when there was a fight, he's like, "That's disgraceful. Nobody wants to see that. Shut up, Joe Buck. I want to see.
Everybody
that.
wants to. See
I want to see that. Everybody in those audience wants to see those two men fight."
That's the thing that's so funny is that I've gotten to the side of like, we should be beyond throwing baseballs at each other, but at the same time, I do love to see it. What I hate doing is explaining to my son why they do it. Why do they do that, Dad? I don't know. I don't know why they're doing it, honestly, but it's fun to watch.
Like I'm just, if there wasn't DHs, I'd be totally on board with them still hitting each other. It's like now that the pitchers don't have to go and get their head rocked in, it seems like that's a great spot to be in.
I know.
I throw the balls at people.
Yeah, exactly.
No one throws anything at me.
Yep.
Anyway,
and that's the problem I have with it too. Is that the pitchers don't have to answer to it.
Yeah.
Instead, it's the big contract like the Bryce Harpers and the Machados have to answer to it. Anyway, all right, let's give me
worst thing of 2021. I think the worst thing to happen in baseball in 2021 is having all 6 of the MVP finalists not even make it to the postseason. I think that's probably the worst indication of the overall. I think it's showing this almost divide in the sport where it's like you can either have the all-star players and then your roster's a bunch of scrubs, or you can spread the money around and have a roster that plays into October. And I think that's just a little disheartening because it just seems to be kind of the direction it's going.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's frustrating.
Like Ohtani. Like, what a waste of potential for Ohtani and Mike Trout to not be playing.
What a waste of
October baseball. Like,
what a waste of a year for Ohtani. Like the fact that he did all that and they didn't even make the playoffs. The Mariners at least made the playoffs in '97 when Griffey won the MVP. I mean, but I mean, and the problem with the Angels is that like they had Trout out for almost the entire year. Rendon was out for almost the entire year. They probably could have made the playoffs if those guys had been healthy, but you can't win with just one guy. But that's the problem that teams are having is that the Nationals had a fire sale, got rid of everybody, and now they only have Juan Soto. So of course he's going to win the MVP.
Yeah,
but he's going to win it hitting solo home runs. So
if it was an individual effort thing, then the Angels would have made it to the World Series sometime in the last.
I know.
Last time they would have 2002.
Yeah, 2002.
Sorry, kids with divorced dads, he's not coming back. The Angels, if your dad left after they won in 2002, that doesn't count. You got to wait for them to win it again.
Exactly. That's a good reference. I like that. That's really good.
I love that movie because what a deadbeat dad. What a deadbeat dad to be like. I just.
Yeah, that's solid. I like that. All right. Okay, so my worst, my next worst is the worst day of the season. Now, it's the final day of the season, and it's not necessarily because it's the season ending and I get sad and depressed and everything, but it's because of the massive letdown in the American League. You had like a potential 4-way tie, and then the Yankees and the Red Sox have to go win. And I think I proposed this to Brig. I said, you know what, Brig, we're going to talk about this on the podcast. We're going to have to get our tinfoil hats on. I don't have mine with me. Maybe I'll put one on as a graphic. Anyway, I was like, I think what happened there is that MLB front office was like, Rob's not getting it. He doesn't understand how this whole thing works. We have to just let these guys win because we can't have a 4-way tie because no matter how many times we explain it to him, he's not figuring it out. He doesn't know how it works. So if we just have the Yankees and Red Sox win, it all sorts itself out. It's really easy, and we'll just go from there. It'll be fine.
Do you believe that?
But it's such a letdown. I believe that wholeheartedly.
I get discouraged when people talk about everything needs to rotate around New York, Boston, and LA because I'm like, then why don't they just have 10 teams in each of those 3 cities and call it a day?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. But, my playoffs were a little bittersweet because the Astros lost in the World Series, and I got COVID during it. But
you did? Oh, no.
We all – it was me and my husband and Bob, who I do NRQ with. We all got it at the same time, and we all tested negative on the rapid tests, but we had every COVID symptom in the book and no taste, no smell. I watched game 4 of the when the Astros beat the White Sox. I thought I was like in a coma, I was like, so it was a bittersweet playoffs. But I know everybody was happy to see the Astros lose. I got very old very quick.
I'm sure it did, yeah.
But I'm also a UT Longhorns fan, so anytime I try and go on any like Reddit college football thing, you're automatically everybody hates you as well.
Everybody's horns down on you.
Everybody, and I love it when people buy the horns down stuff because that money goes to UT because you got to pay for the logo.
That's true. You're right.
Even if it's upside down, you got to pay for it. So I'm whatever the dorks. Anyway, so yeah, it was. I felt like, people acted like the Astros going to the World Series and losing somehow made them look worse than not making it to the World Series at all. And my problem with that would have been, I have a feeling that they would have not given credence to the Astros regardless of what happened. So I got like, if they won, they would have just said, well, you're cheaters. If you lost, they said, well, this is what happens when you can't cheat, So it's just kind of like, you got to move on eventually. And as long as Joe Kelly gets another suspension, I think I think Major League Baseball's wounds can start to heal.
Joe Kelly is the people, by the way, but but no. And you know what though? Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I was cheering for the Braves just because I don't believe in cheering for division rivals. And you know, I was just kind of like, you know what? The Astros played a great series against the Braves.
But the Braves played great. I mean, what is there to be mad about?
You can't take anything away from the way the Braves played.
It wasn't like the Astros crapped the bed. It wasn't like the Braves did anything. Exactly. It was a good series. And, you know, the Braves, especially considering they completely replaced their entire outfield pretty much from scratch in July?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole
at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, more kudos to them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And, you know, someday I'd like to see the Astros win at least one more World Series. So that way I don't have that always thinking like, am I never going to see it again? Is it going to be 80 years? Am I going to be dead in the grave? Are my grandchildren going to be listening to the Astros win the World Series over my grave with whatever device we listen to things now, saying, "Oh, if only he could have been here." But
yeah, I know there's some days I feel like that as a Mariners fan, though, that my son and his grandkids are going to be listening to the Mariners win the World Series. Like, if only Dad had stuck out another 50 years. You know.
Well, it's like with the Cubs, you know, their giant streak, and the Red Sox with their giant streak. It's like, turns out you guys weren't cursed; you just sucked. You know. Yeah.
Way rather be cursed. Something to blame it on. But, all right, so you did. So I did my worst day. Give me your next best.
Oh, next best. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was supposed to have two. I did have a couple second ones.
Okay.
Oh goodness. I just had it too. I just brought it up.
Here, let's go ahead and take.
I remember what it was. I remember what it was. It was that there was no sustained stoppages from COVID. There were a couple series canceled here and there, but they shuffled it around. They made it work, and I think that was, you know, I guess I wasn't really that confident they'd make it through the whole 162. You know, without having
everybody played 162 this year.
Yeah, so and they got close though a couple times. I remember there was was it the Mets?
The Mets had one. I think.
Yeah, there was a couple teams had some pretty serious outbreaks. But I guess that'd be another perk since it's looking like we're going into maybe another season where we have to deal with this crap.
I know. I hope that they can get it sorted out, get things figured out by the time the season starts, so we don't have a baseball season like the NBA season and the NFL season, because it's been bad. NFL, NBA is unwatchable right now.
Well, the NBA, it's unwatchable for a couple. The NBA, the players are tired. They're exhausted.
Yeah,
it's all a bunch of dudes on 10-day contracts right now. Like,
got Isaiah Thomas back, and
it makes you beg the question. It's like, obviously they don't want to stop. They don't want to stop doing the games because they need the revenue. But who's going to go if it's a bunch of G League guys?
Yeah.
You know, at what point is it just better to cut your losses?
But yeah, well, and I think too they don't want to push the season back too far like they did initially.
They're so desperate to just get it back on.
Yeah, get it back on track.
Sync. But it's I really haven't even watched the NFL much this season.
I watched a little bit, but I don't know. I struggle with the NFL anyway these days, but it's probably just because the Seahawks stink. But whatever.
And then I'm a Texans fan, so that's
no reason for you to watch.
No, I might as well just go mow the grass, you know, or something. You know, I'm gonna be just as enthralled. Hey, use up 3 hours of my time and end up pissed off and disappointed. You know,
exactly.
But you know, I think that's a good. If you don't, I'm sorry. What was your? You had another. Another best.
Okay, yeah. So I have my absolute best, and this is a Mariners versus Astros moment. I'll warn you.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not gonna fly into a psychopathic rage because somebody talked bad about my sports team. I'm not a Dodgers fan, you know. I'm not an animal.
So one of the best things, like the absolute best moments for me this season. So I talked earlier about how the Mariners traded Kendall Graveman to the Astros. It was during a series when the Astros were in Seattle.
Yes.
Well, the Mariners got back Abraham Toro, who apparently is a guy that Jerry DePoto's had his eye on for about 3 years. He's trying to pry him away from the Astros. And later on during the season, Toro comes up with the bases loaded against Kendall Graveman, and he hits a grand slam. And I was up in my living room. Yes, the Mariners won the trade. It was that moment.
I remember I wasn't watching it, but I was doing the on your phone where it's like the balls and strikes.
Oh yeah.
And I
The
just
game
remember
cast,
thinking, because it wasn't just you, it was other people that was like, I'm gonna hear about this.
Yeah, that was a really exciting moment for me. Anytime the Mariners put up a crooked number against the Astros, first off, and second, the fact that it was the guy who everybody was like, "Oh, why'd they get rid of the closer?" Blah blah. Blah. It's like, no, this guy's good. Like, he's legit, and he goes and he does that against the guy they traded for him. It was awesome. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun to watch, and especially, like I said, for a Mariners team that was supposed to not do really well and overachieved by a ton. It was just a big moment for the team. It was really cool to see. It was a lot of fun to watch.
So, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Something we can conclude on. What's the thing you're most looking forward to in 2022, the season?
The thing that I'm most looking forward to is I'm looking forward to the Mariners making the playoffs. I think it's going to happen this year.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
I know you do.
It's the same thing like when I talk about Ohtani, because always in the back of my head where I'm like, ooh, well, that'd be at the detriment of my team for him to be doing good.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things with that is that, like, he could have potentially come to Seattle. Jewel, who was on the last few weeks with me, he and I talk about it all the time. Like, man, like, if the Mariners had just been able to do that one last thing to get over the top to get him in Seattle, man, could be our guy. But what are you looking forward to the most this season?
Man, I guess it's just seeing. I guess it's exciting because it feels like a last hurrah, because like we got Dusty Baker back, we got Verlander back, we got kind of the writing on the wall is a lot of these people are only going to stick around for another go around. I'm excited about that. I'm also excited for the possibility of a COVID-free or a season where we don't have to worry about COVID. I can tell you something I'm looking forward to is every year for my grandma's birthday, we take her to an Astros game, and we haven't been able to do that during COVID. So it'd be nice to do that again this July.
That'd be cool. That's awesome. I like that.
Oh yeah, she's a huge Astros fan.
That's cool.
And
that's really cool.
Yeah, and I guess is the expanded playoffs possible? Would that go into effect this year?
I think it would, yeah. Because they were able to get it in place during the COVID season, and that would be so cool. I love the playoffs. I don't understand why people don't like expanded playoffs.
Here's a shocking statistic I heard is that Major League Baseball from its broadcast deals makes so much money. They make the same, generally speaking, they make the same amount of revenue during the postseason baseball that they do from the entire regular season.
I believe it.
And I thought that was shocking. It tells you that there's maybe too much of one and not enough of the other or something, but
maybe, I don't know. But I mean, I know that the regular season deals are big, but maybe not big enough because there's 162 games spread across 30 teams. But at the same time, like, playoffs are a big deal.
So you're in Arizona, right?
Right. Yeah.
So but you're a Mariners fan. Do you, by any chance? I'm curious how this works. So if you get MLB Network, because you're not in the market, you can just watch any Mariners game you want. Like, this is Soviet Russia and everything's free.
Yep.
Because I live close enough to Houston that I can't, and it just enrages me because I'm like, take the money. I'm giving you money. Take it. Take it.
Right? Yes.
And see, that's I'm putting it in like Manfred's pocket. Like, take the.
Yes, that's the money. That's so funny. So we lived in Western Idaho for a couple of years, and I didn't get to watch any Mariners games, like, at all,
because it's just close enough to the
it's in the market, quote unquote. Now here, I watch the Mariners every day here, and then when they were actually in town, I went to 2 of the 3 games, and then on Sunday I was sitting around Sunday afternoon. I was like, "Oh, I'll turn the game on." And I was like, "No, I won't." This is the one game I don't get to watch. They're literally 15 minutes down the road from my house, and I don't get to watch it. It's so dumb.
And then they turn around and go, "Why is nobody watching baseball? Why is nobody watching baseball?" And I'm sitting here pulling my freaking hair out. It's so annoying that the town I live in a more rural part of Texas, but the town I live in, I can listen to Astros games on my radio, on the iHeart radio. But if I go to the town parallel to ours, which is only like 10 miles up the road, that's close enough to Houston that
you can't.
The radio just says you're in an area that's,
Wow. That's crazy.
It's like I live. My house is thankfully is that close to the border. I could do it. So as long as Manfred doesn't find out about me.
Well, I think you're safe here because I doubt he listens to us. He might get not more than 5 minutes.
He's not doing it, but he's got robots.
He's got cronies. Yeah, he does. You're right. But that reminds me.
Ken Rosenthal killed.
That's actually the last thing I had. Was my last worst was I had the worst person, and it happened to be Rob Manfred.
The worst person in baseball. Tony La Russa for me. I hate Tony La Russa. I was so happy to see us knock him out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think everybody was.
I think that the way I summed it up the best is he's so obsessed with people following the unwritten rules of baseball. And I say, well, you should follow the written rules of the road and not drive intoxicated. You
Seriously,
jerk.
Though. Yes. Yes. Like he drove a guy out of the league because he didn't follow the quote unquote unwritten rules of baseball. He just swung the bat. Who cares? Man. Yeah, that dude's the worst. Golly. Him and Rob Manfred, 1A and 1B. Man, that's a good one. That's a really good one.